Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times this Sunday, September 26, 2021. For today's editorial, economy could afford to reopen more now. Undoubtedly, the hard lockdown worked last year in slowing down COVID-19, but the authorities should now reassess the situation even as developments continue to play out. We agree with the business sector and perhaps the economic cluster of the Duterte cabinet, who argue that such measures are no longer appropriate, given the new facts on the ground. Widespread lockdowns may in fact be more harmful than beneficial. At grave risk is the economy, which is not some abstract concern. It is personified among the jobless, or those struggling to retain their work because their employers are themselves barely keeping the enterprise afloat. Daily struggles play out when a parent cannot leave home to make a living because the children are learning remotely. Another precaution against the pandemic. To be clear, we are not belittling these measures, but they should be reviewed given the situation at present. If policymakers and others in authority are looking for a clear break where the pandemic ends and where economic recovery can begin in earnest, they may be disappointed. Note, for instance, that the polio vaccine was developed in 1955. Even though annual cases fell 99.8%, it remains endemic in some countries. Smallpox offers another example. That disease has killed more than 300 million people since 1900, even though a vaccine for it was developed in 1798. And even today, children are inoculated against smallpox. The point here is that we have learned to deal with polio, smallpox, and other diseases, and people today are rarely disturbed by the fact that these deadly viruses still pose a threat. For now, we simply have to live with the pandemic. We may not have learned everything about COVID-19, but we know enough to feel confident about reopening the economy even more. We accept that moving forward may mean requiring vaccinations more than once in a lifetime, because COVID-19 mutates quickly. This is not unusual. Flu vaccines are recommended annually, and pneumonia shots every 5 years. Reopening means that there may be COVID-19 surges in the future. With that, businesses and life in general may be interrupted temporarily, and they should not be any different from the general response to a typhoon or another natural disaster. After a brief break, we simply pick up the pieces and move forward again. To be clear, we're not dismissing the threats posed by the coronavirus. Far from it. Instead, we should have a healthy respect for it, at least enough to get vaccinated as soon as possible. Wear masks correctly, avoid crowds and gatherings whenever possible, and wash hands frequently. We should also take precautions to ensure the safety of the elderly, people with comorbidities, and others still unvaccinated. Remember that the ability to spread quickly is COVID-19's worst attribute. Moving forward, we're not suggesting a return to pre-pandemic lifestyles and routines, but there has to be a better balance between public health and economic well-being. Of course, the government should procure more vaccine doses and administer them 24/7. Perhaps policies on acquiring vaccines could be relaxed also in order that local governments and private organizations can buy their own. The authorities should go beyond the 70% vaccination target to achieve herd immunity. That figure is only an estimate, based on old assumptions. It seems better to inoculate everyone eligible to get a shot. The government should also increase testing capacity and lower its cost. Frequent and affordable testing is vital to managing COVID-19 and part of the new normal. Lastly, contact tracing is this country's weakest link against the pandemic. That needs to improve quickly, even as the government hastens vaccination and ramps up testing. Of course, these suggestions do not guarantee that outbreaks will be averted. The government simply has to prepare for that too, maybe by developing the capability to build field hospitals or isolation facilities to free up or reserve hospital beds for the worst COVID-19 cases and other serious illnesses. Clearly, opening up is not easy or without risks, but living on an empty stomach is also punishing and could trap future generations in poverty. And that's editorial for Sunday, September 26, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to the Voice of the Times.